What's up YouTube? Welcome back to a new video. My name is Spencer Berke. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. You can see behind me, we have a very special car today. I know I always say that, but every car is special to me on this channel. So without further ado, let's get straight into this feature film. So we've been going back and forth for a couple months now.
Yes.
And I saw this on your Instagram and it got me super excited.
Yep.
Can you tell me what this is, please?
So this is my M4 GTS that it's basically been converted into a M4 GT4 for the street. Everything that we use is all BMW Motorsport OEM parts. It's as far as you can go with a M4 GT4 setup that you could still use it on the street.
And your intentions for this car, from what you were telling me when I first got here, is that you wanted to make sure you had a car that could be used on the track and on the street.
Yes, definitely.
How's that gone so far?
Not so well, because after we put the splitter on it, the car got quite low, and especially with the GT4 having the 18-inch wheels, it's a little bit too low. So probably we're gonna have to step it up to a 19-inch wheel pretty soon.
What suspension is this car on?
So it's on Öhlins TTX 4-way. It's amazing. So I come from a road race background, and that pair of dampers pretty much will get you close to a second compared to most other dampers other than the Multimatics on any track.
How did you start into the whole racing community?
So I started racing go-karts when I was 12 years old and just progressed through the ranks to Formula cars, eventually doing GT racing. You know, I did some racing overseas as well and kind of just stopped when I was 20 years old.
You told me that you were more focused on the BMW side of things because you enjoy BMWs more. So that's more of your favorite thing to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. These are the M4 GT4 OEM wheels.
And what brakes?
Alcon.
Are those popular? I've never heard of that.
So the funny thing is I actually bought this at used, and it was a come up for a really good deal back before I even did any of this. And I took the car to the track with these brakes and it actually worked out really good.
Okay, and what tracks do you go to mostly?
So Button Willow. So around that track, probably done maybe 3,000 laps.
Holy crap.
Yeah, a ton of laps.
What's your best time?
My best time with this car when it was stock was a 1 minute 57.6 on 13th CW.
Have you gone back with this setup yet?
No, I haven't.
So you're anxious to go try it out?
Yeah, definitely. On the 13th, we will be going to the Beamer Challenge.
What tires do you have?
These are Nankang AR1s.
These are pretty popular with track guys, right?
Yeah, they are, and I think it's like a newer tire.
What tires were you running before?
The Cup 2s. And also I had a little bit of experience with the NT01s. In all honesty, just purely for the fact that the gain you get with the NT01s are not as great as I would have expected versus the Cup 2s, and the Cup 2s completely have usability on the street, I would say I definitely prefer the Cup 2s. This is the M4 GT4 splitter.
And you said all this is OEM.
All is OEM. The only thing that's not OEM is actually this brake duct right here. That's made by Autotech.
And then how about these canards too?
These are OEM.
These fenders are obviously not stock. What fenders are these?
These are made by a German company called Flossmann. They're great, you know, they're vented, so they'll help a little bit with the aerodynamics. And they were very kind to supply us with a set for this build.
And then how about the paint scheme? Is this paint wrap?
It is OEM paint with a matte clear bra.
What wing is this?
So that is also a M4 GT4 OEM rear wing, and it is chassis mounted to the hinges.
What exhaust is this?
So it has an Akrapovic downpipe with an active AutoWork midpipe to the stock GTS muffler.
I know a lot of people say with this car coming from the previous generations that this car sounds way different. Is that ever a thing that pops up to you that you really care about, or are you more focused on performance?
You know, in all honesty, I have heard a lot of F cars sound like crap.
Yeah.
But this car with this exhaust combination sounds amazing. All you actually hear is turbo spool, and it sounds more like a 2JZ from a Supra.
I feel like you still focus so much on performance that the sound doesn't matter, but to a certain extent, to like an enthusiast, it does matter.
I definitely do want it to sound good, you know?
Yeah.
I did experiment a little bit with the exhaust, but this car really doesn't have much work done to the engine. It's just a tune with a straight pipe exhaust.
What tune is it? How is that set up?
It's a boot mode tune. The tune works fine. I actually think we're gonna go back to stock just because of the drivability. Any aftermarket tune on track, I feel like it loses a little bit of drivability just because coming from a professional race car background, I can kind of feel those little things, and they're little things that I don't really like, such as not having a linear throttle, which I do feel with the boot mode tune. The interior, it's Recaro Profi SPGs with the Scroth harnesses, and that's pretty much it. They're on VAC solid mounts. That is the OEM cage. And the one thing that's pretty unique about this is a lot of people won't actually be able to drive this car because I have it set up kind of like a Formula seat position because that's what I'm used to. and it's super low. My eyes are actually level with the steering wheel, so you actually can't see anything past maybe this point on the hood. When I'm on the track, I rarely am actually looking forward, so I'm always looking towards the apex of the corner, so you're kind of not really having to see what's directly in front of you, and that's what I was always used to with racing.
What kind of maintenance did you do before you did track, like a track build?
You know, as far as maintenance, not really much. Typical kind of oil change or stuff like that, I guess. But you know, we had the whole car apart, so the subframes were off, the whole rear end was blown apart, so the whole car was maintained in the sense that everything on it, as far as the suspension and even the drivetrain being the diff in the rear, is brand new.
How does that work? Because for me, trying to understand suspension,
yep,
there's obviously a lot that goes into it. How would you explain it to somebody that has no idea how this works?
Quite a bit of experimenting, just because the GT4 suspension geometry is not really out there. It's not really information that is available for you just to get. Luckily, I had the help of a very special engineer named Ricardo Davila, and kind of by looking at what they were doing on the GT4, the tire they were running, and we could understand the concept. So we started experimenting with it. We were able to achieve to actually have a very wide front tire in the front. But actually with this suspension geometry, it's not as good, maybe, is that if that's the right word, as the OEM geometry, but definitely running that bigger tire will compensate for it. And then we're also playing with some high caster concepts that even the GT4 doesn't do, just because we don't have any sort of regulations that limit what we can do to the car, and we can compensate that with the rear. We wanted it to be like kind of a street class time attack car so that we could do time attack with it, but at this point I'm not even sure if it actually qualifies.
Moving forward with this build, do you have any more plans for the car?
I think this is it, honestly. Probably BBS E88s, 19-inch, and that's it.
It's a good choice.
Yeah.
So speaking of suspension going into the rear diff, you said it was fully rebuilt, right?
Yes. So what actually happened was the rear diff was pulled out, and this car comes stock with a electronically actuated differential that is basically locking and unlocking depending on throttle input and a number of variables. That's not necessarily the best for the track. So what we did was we put a Drexler mechanical differential in there, which is basically the same as what the M4 GT4 has, but the M4 GT4 diff uses more exotic materials than the version of Drexler that they're willing to sell to the public.
And what size tires are you running on this car?
So 315s in the rear, but we plan to go to 335 in the back.
Can you fit those without any issues?
Yes, no problem. Possibly even 345.
Wow, that's a big tire.
Yeah.
What studs are you running on this?
So these are MSI, so they make studs for NASCAR, but these are actually the same length as the real M4 GT4, because the front of the M4 GT4 runs a 30mm spacer, and we're currently running a 23mm.
The series that this car races in, the actual race series,
yep,
how similar is this car to one of those cars?
So I would actually say this car in its current form might actually be faster than the real GT4 if you were to just put the same tires on it, just the fact that the motor's unrestricted right now. The GT4 is really pegged down in power, and I believe it's something between the high 380s to the low 400s. And you know, something like this with just a tune, I believe you could put something like 500 to the rear wheel, and definitely that power is gonna make up for a lot of the weight.
Is that what inspired you to do this car? Because you were telling me that you wanted to, was it beat Porsches? Was that your kind of goal?
Yes, that was kind of my goal, because honestly I got tired of hearing all about Porsches, you know, and I had a BMW, and coming from a motorsport background and with the resources that I had, I kind of came up with this cool idea. I just wanted to make a BMW that goes out there and kills Porsches. I wouldn't have been able to do this car without my engineer at the time, Ricardo Davila, who unfortunately passed away suddenly earlier this year. And he was officially the most experienced race car designer and race engineer in the world. He worked for a number of F1 teams, won world championships with his cars. He was the chief technical director of Nissan, or Nismo, Nissan Motorsports, from the mid 1990s to the early 2010s. You know, he was able to really put a lot of input into this car, and we were going to take it a lot further than this, but with his sudden passing, unfortunately, my knowledge doesn't go that far. Just having him on board, you know, with a name like Ricardo, he has plenty of contacts in the world, so we actually got BMW Motorsport involved with this car. A big a tribute to Ricardo as well to finish this car, because wouldn't have been able to do it without him, and it holds a really special place in my heart.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. dude, let's give it a shot.
So we're worried about how low this thing is to get out of here, because you tried yesterday, right?
Yeah, we tried for like probably 2 hours,
Oh my
and
God.
we were not successful. So maybe today a miracle will happen.
I'll give it the shot. All right, want me to jump out?
Yeah. The problem is it kind of like V's up again.
Yeah.
Where the gutter is.
Good, good. Yep. I got you there.
Yeah, because did you hear the tie rod?
Yeah, you could hear it a lot.
Yeah, the tie rod grinds, and I didn't want to do that day because when you turn it like a lot at the ride height right now, because I raised it, the tie rod will like hit.
Yeah, I heard some. Got it out now.
Yeah. It's done, it's done.
When's the last time you drove this on the street?
Maybe half a year ago?
Really?
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Jesus, even in a gutter like this, scared.
Oh my God.
You hear that grinding?
Yeah. I mean, you sit so low in this.
Yeah.
You sit very low.
My eyes are like level. It's how I'm comfortable, so.
Yeah.
That was like traction control the whole time.
Jeez, that's got some power to it, man. It feels very comfortable though.
Yeah, it's because the Olins, these TTXs, they're like a true race damper, so if anything, they should feel more comfortable than actual like OEM shock from the manufacturer.
Yeah, it feels comfortable for being a race car.
Yeah.
You feel pretty confident in this car, don't you?
Yeah. I know what I did to it, so.
What steering wheel is that?
That's the M Performance one.
I was gonna say it looks
strip lights, yeah.
It looks different. Man, that thing grips.
Downforce.
That grips so hard.
Yeah. What do you think?
Oh my God.
I wasn't even hard on the brake, dude.
Dude, this is
The
a
downforce just stops it.
full-blown track car, dude.
Yeah, it's just a full track car for the street.
My God. I don't think you can pick that up on camera, but it feels like your downforce pushes you so hard down. Like you get pushed into your seat. Wow. Does it block your rearview mirror?
No, not at all, actually. It's just above the cage.
Yeah, go back. Success.
Nice, yeah.
All right, you're good. Oh my God, dude.